I've often heard the sentiment that graphics aren't important, some claiming that they don't even matter at all. But I think most people can agree that graphics are less important than gameplay. I too held this view for a while, but I've started questioning it in recent years. You have games with amazing graphics that really feel like they add something. The visceral animations in a new Call of Duty game make the gameplay feel that much more exciting. And then you have games that transcend good graphics, the games that are the graphics. Games like Luigi's Mansion 3. To say this game looks great is an insult. To say the graphics are good is a misunderstanding of what their purpose really is in this masterpiece. Luigi's Mansion 3 does something that I've never seen before. It puts graphics before gameplay, and somehow doesn't fall apart. Luigi's Mansion 3 feels like a sort of amusement park or arcade experience. There's a certain novelty about the way the game looks and feels that makes it seem as if it goes beyond just being a video game. The things that typically sell a game as having great graphics are things like the lighting, the texture quality, the animation quality, and the performance. But Luigi's Mansion 3 achieves its phenomenal look in a really interesting way, because the Nintendo Switch can't handle crazy high-resolution textures or complex real-time lighting. It's not like Nintendo just checked all of the boxes in Unreal Engine to make the game look pretty. Everything that makes this game look good feels like it was a careful handmade decision. The way Luigi reacts to different things in the environment, like smiling every time he looks at the Polterpup, or the way he reacts when being chased by King Boo. The way that his countless states of being flow seamlessly from one to the next. He tenses up when he's frightened, and slowly relaxes into a normal walk again, the flashlight becoming less jittery, his facial expressions less anxious. These are little things, but whether you pay attention to them or not, they really add to the experience. But what's more than the animations or beautiful and efficient textures and lighting is the physics. Now, engine physics are difficult to categorize as either gameplay or graphics, since they can have varying effects on both. And in Luigi's Mansion, it's certainly the case that the gameplay centers around the interactable physics of just about everything in the hotel, with the new blast, jump, and plunger really playing into that. But the physics also complement that smooth animation and simple yet moody look incredibly well. For example, you've got things that just aren't movable, like pieces of furniture, but to give the game an interactable, tactile feel, they've given a lot of these immovable objects a slight bit of wiggle room. It makes it feel as if everything but the walls, floor, and ceiling is something you can mess with, even when it's not. And the sheer quantity of interactables adds some real replay value to the game. I replayed a couple hours of this game to capture footage, and I spent like 90% of that time just walking around. It was a similar experience to reading an I Spy book. Whether or not you find what you're looking for, it's just fun to look at. Simply exploring each room, interacting with everything, seeing and hearing this game is just so much fun. Now we're starting to see what makes Luigi's Mansion 3 such an interesting game. It blurs the line between graphics and gameplay so greatly that it almost feels pointless to try and separate them. It's a fantastic experience, and that's what matters. So next time you find yourself enjoying a game, ask yourself, do the graphics matter? Would you still enjoy this game if it looked like an N64 or NES game? Sometimes the answer is yes. Some games are so centered around their gameplay that they would be great even with minimal graphical quality. And there's certainly something to be said about the difference between technical, graphical quality and good art direction. There are some N64 and NES games that look better than some PS3 games. That's due to a more competent art direction and a better understanding of how to make something look good under hardware constraints. Heck, there are games released today with an NES or N64 look that are completely enjoyable. But more often than not, time and money have gone into the looks for a reason. Whether or not you think it matters, you do think it matters. That's why it sells. Some games rely more on their graphics than their gameplay, and some vice versa. But I hold the belief that graphics matter exactly as much as they're needed to make a game a great experience, as does the gameplay itself. I think that Luigi's Mansion 3 has done on the Nintendo Switch what Paper Mario did on the N64, what Super Mario RPG did on the Super Nintendo. Luigi's Mansion 3 is a game that still looks like it's a generation ahead, despite it now being just about 4 years old. And that's nothing short of impressive. I just hope that this game ages as well as the other titles in the series. It's always possible that the novel look and feel of the game wears off after some years and leaves the game feeling tacky and empty, as in my opinion, Luigi's Mansion 3 has the weakest core gameplay when isolated. But in just a few days, it'll be Halloween of 2023, the 4-year anniversary of Luigi's Mansion 3. And to me, this game is still completely awesome. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say right now. I'll talk to you later. Happy Halloween.